This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. So the agenda today is a little bit short, but we'll see what we make of it today. The news from Libline, when we got on the call, Patrick said, I don't have any new news to report. And then we continued to talk for about another 40 minutes. So while he didn't have news to report, he did have discussion topics that we were able to talk about. The week before, the last week when we met, Patrick did give me a heads up that the ERM has been populated for the GAO library, and he showed me how to get into the GAO database so I could look around at it and see a little bit about what was going on. It's at the point where I can do I can look for a couple of things in the database, but I don't think I have a good enough understanding of how it's all going to end up working in order to show you. So I'm not going to show you anything about GAO quite yet. Patrick did warn me that GAO is looking to block access from the general public and only have it available to their users. So at some point I may not be able to have the ability to do that, but I'm hoping to have a little bit better understanding of how they're using it in relationship to how Waldo may want to be able to use it. So that's sort of a side project that I'm working on. Other than that, Patrick really didn't have anything more to talk about. And I asked a couple of questions, primarily about the GAO implementation of the ERM and what their plans were for it. And at this point, they don't know for sure what the plans are. There is a bug that they are working on trying to resolve, and that is encouraging to hear that at least they found something that they can fix. And I'll talk a little bit more about some of the things I found out when we get to number 3 on the agenda. What I thought we would do today is turn our attention more to enhancement ideas. And I thought one way to maybe get people to think a little bit about enhancements would be to go to our list that is down here. And you can see that I have in fact added some things, and I did a little bit of editing by crossing one out. I'm not going to talk much about the 2017 enhancement requests today. Those are still here. Those are things we can still consider, but we have discussed those before. And I don't intend to go through these line by line to try to discuss each one or to talk about each one and ask for your input on them. But I do want to, make sure that what is on this list is what whoever suggested it meant, and that if there are any other words that I can add to this, I will do so. Maybe not during this call, but after the call, so that it'd be available the next time we meet. Now, we have in the past gone through points A through H, and that is the one question that I have on that. Is there anything else within this group of items that have any updates or you have new information to add as justification for these ideas? And I'm going to put you on the spot, okay? The patron load enhancement that was delivered, have you done the testing on that, and has it worked out for you? Okay, I'm not hearing Anne, so does that mean that she has nothing to say?
What was the St. John's enhancement?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know what's happening with my phone. It just seems to go off whenever it wants to. Okay, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure I laid my phone down, so I just wanted to make sure I didn't do something untoward. Okay. I did a lot more talking after I asked Ann to discuss the patron load enhancement, so I'll try to repeat what was there. The last question I remember hearing was from Stephen, and I think that's after you had been unable to see. You asked what the patron load enhancement was. And what I started to respond was that the enhancement itself was more of a procedural kind of enhancement. The concern is with security of the patron records between the business office and the library, loading them into the database. So what was discussed between St. John's and Liblime was a method that a file could be generated and put on a server that Liblime would then go in and pick up and then automatically load into the patron database. And that work has been done. And I was asking Anne originally if she could tell us whether that's been tested. The intent is to have nobody other than the business office who has to generate the file to have any hands involved in loading the records. And can you comment on that? Have you tested that feature?
I don't see her anymore.
She must have dropped off. Nope, I don't see her either. Okay, well, anyway, but that's basically what it is to generate the file, put it on a server, and as my understanding of this request went, it was to put it on a St. John server so it would not see the outside world at all. And then Liblime would create a cron job that would go in, look for a file, and if it found one, upload it into the patron records. And like I said, I'm not sure what the status of that is right now, but hopefully that's getting there, because I think pretty much everybody could use that. Okay, so let's go on to the ones that have been added to the list. I went through my email for about the last year to look for the word enhancement, to find anything that I had received via email or that people had said, please add this. And I hope I found everything. If I didn't, let me know. But the ones that I did find are the ones listed from I through Q. And I think that the words that are being used here are probably pretty are generic enough so that everybody can understand what's being requested in here. And if you can see, I duplicated one, the preferred name and the preferred name down here. So I'll correct that and make sure that we just have one later. But if you're the person who suggested this enhancement, if you have any additional information to add to the words that are already here, that would be great. At this point, I'm not going to ask for any determination of priority ranking on these. I want to give you all some time to refresh your memories and pay attention to your work and see if there are other things that might be useful for you. In other words, I would like you to think about enhancements that might be needed for Bibliovation. They can be little, they can be big, whatever. Knowing that ERM is something that is currently being worked on and will be available at some point, we don't need to be so concerned about that particular big issue now, but are there others? I know that over the last couple of years, I've explored with LibLime the ability to use the open URL so that we would have a way to search and then to go and display the open the information linked through the URL. And that is, I think, part of the ERM, but it's a little bit beyond that. And actually, since before the Code Fusion started, we hadn't come up with any new ideas yet. Okay, thanks, Jennifer. Okay, so before our next meeting, I don't ever want to say that we will no longer entertain enhancement ideas ever. But by the next meeting, I'd like to be able to identify one or two or three or four. I don't know what the number is yet. I'll have to talk with John and with Patrick. Yes, I did see that, Jennifer, and thank you for doing that. Right now, part of why we've been waiting on the authority pieces is because South Central has expressed interest in the past of working with us on authority enhancements, and they just in late December went live on Bibliovation, and I know that they're still adjusting to that, so they don't have any time right now to work on the authority enhancements, but that doesn't mean we can't lay down some information so that we can share it with them and they can respond to it. Okay, so at our next meeting, I will ask if there are any of these enhancements that really speak to you and that you would like to see added into Bibliovation. And I'm not restricting just to the 2019-2020, but any of the older ones that are on this page as well. And that probably already covers pretty much everything that we've already talked about in terms of authority enhancements. Okay, I'm going to scroll up on the page, so hopefully I don't go too far. There we go. And the next item on the agenda is something that I just wanted to ask about to find out if any of you are using OCLC's Collection Manager, or if you know anything about the Collection Manager option that OCLC has available. I did do a little searching online just to see what is there. The reason that I'm asking about this is because the the work on the ERM that has been done for the GAO, Government Accounting Office Library, is using some of the features that are available through the WorldShare Collection Manager in order to link to material that's in their catalog to an online source to retrieve full text information. So I know that this is a topic that probably isn't in use at most places yet, but I wanted to find out if any of you were using it, because you can use the collection manager to, if you have a subscription to eBury books or to JSTOR, demand-driven acquisitions records, you can use the collection manager in order to get the MARC records for them, for those collections that you can then add into your local catalog. And I'm hoping to find someone who has some experience with this, who can help us in terms of answering questions about how things work. I do use the collection manager in order to retrieve JSTOR records, and that part of it I have no problem with. It's some of the other features that are available that I have never used or had to learn about, that I'm now trying to learn about, and then just interested in any additional help I can get from anyone who might be using it. So I don't see anyone saying in chat, yes, we use Collection Manager. So I think I'm going to assume that right now it's safe to say that none of you are using this to help manage your electronic workflows. At this point, is it accurate for me to think that any records that you are loading into your production database are coming from the vendor and are not coming through an OCLC collection? Okay, that's what I thought.
I stopped loading them.
Okay, because it's a nuisance to get rid of them when you need to get rid of them.
Yes, it's horrible. Plus, plus they're all just in the EBSCO Discovery Service, so that's what we show people. They can search ebooks and books at the same time there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'll keep reading about the OCLC bit and try to figure out how it might work and how it might be useful. It is the collection manager service is available to anyone who has a cataloging subscription to OCLC, and it doesn't cost anything additional. So just keep that in your heads as a fact. That one I am certain of, and I do know that that is a capability that's available. So let me go back over to the agenda, and as you can see, we are at the bottom of the agenda already. Let me ask, is there anything that any of you would like to talk about today that wasn't on the agenda or that hasn't been mentioned so far? Okay, I'm not seeing anything coming in chat. I'm not hearing anyone say anything, so I guess we're done for today. I will have this on YouTube as soon as I can today, and we'll meet again on February 27th, same time, and we'll talk more about enhancements and then anything else that comes up in the meantime. Thank you all.
Thanks.